welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. This is Project You, the name of the podcast. I'm your host, Jake Bowler. In today's episode, we are talking about becoming your best self. This is a question I'm going to ask, and I want you to follow along because I can guarantee it's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially in today's society. If you could control every single aspect of your life so that you could achieve any dream you wanted, what would that look like? In this episode, this is everything that I would do if I didn't have to worry about time, money, anything, and I wanted to achieve my dreams. You know, whether that's financially, physically, mentally, business, health, friendships, all that sort of stuff. And I will succeed in all these areas, but I know it will take time as well. This podcast is about the way I would do this as fast as possible, which in many cases isn't really realistic because life happens a lot of the time. It gets in the way sometimes. So this will all take time, but I'm going to talk about, I'm talking about years and years of self-development, self-work and physical training and all that sort of stuff. Bear that in mind, but this is what I would do if I could, optimize absolutely everything. I had full control over every aspect of my life. One thing I'm going to start by saying, this is in terms of the physical aspect of all this, but there is a huge epidemic in the world. The number of fat and obese people is the highest obviously it's ever been, with the population being pretty high. And the UK, which is crazy in terms of percentage, so not the number of people, obviously the US has a lot more people, but in terms of percentage wise, the UK has just surpassed the US in obesity rates, which is crazy. And like I said, obviously the US is more, but as a percentage, it has passed it, which is just wild. So throughout this episode, I'm going to give you tools that you can use and principles that I aim to use in my daily life and things that I would be doing completely that would completely optimize health, fitness, self-development, mindset, nutrition, all that sort of stuff, so you can become the absolute peak best version of yourself in every aspect of your life. This isn't going to be just a podcast of me sitting here for the next 20 minutes telling you that you need to journal every morning. Because it's like, Jake, why am I journaling every morning? I'm going to guide you as to what I would believe are the best practices and the reason why you're doing it and how it actually benefits you from doing that. Everything that I'm going to discuss is going to be actionable. So if you want to, get your notebook out or make sure you're actually listening and pay attention, because including myself, I need to be doing some of this stuff better. I won't lie. But this is a guide for where if you did have no restrictions, no time constraints, no money problems, no work, all that sort of stuff, no hardship that comes through, which it just happens in life. That's the part of living. You could do to completely optimize your lifestyle. So let's jump right into the episode. I have broken this podcast into a few different sections just to make it easier to go through and actually take some key points away from this rather than me just blabbering on about absolute random bullshit. So I have we've got like a morning routine, we have a physical training, we have business, and we have health. Through there are some subcategories as well, but we'll go through all that. And I'm going to go through everything in as much detail as I can, and that is needed for you to actually comprehend and understand everything that I'm going to talk about and go through. Because at the end of the day, we want to just live a healthy life, full of abundance, surrounded by people that we love. I think that's the true essence of, living. What does, an ideal, for me, perfect morning routine look like? One, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. Why am I waking up at 5 a.m.? Not so I can post on Instagram and say that I'm better than everyone else. That is part of it. You can say you're better than everyone else if you're waking up consistently in the morning before 2, 3, 4 hours before everyone else. All out. But waking up at 5 a.m., one, for most of the time, most of the year, except for peak winter when it's not light until some stupid time of the morning and then the day goes dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just crap. But 5 a.m., one, you're awake before everyone else, meaning you can get more work done without being distracted. One of the biggest things I find is that if you're waking up later and you want to do work, what can tend to happen is you can start going on your phone, people start messaging you, you start replying to emails, people reply to those emails, and the cycle goes on and on. So if you're up at 5 a.m., you can get more work done because no one else is awake to distract you. Secondly, if you are struggling on a bulk and you need more time to eat more food, you got more time in the day now to actually put that food in without having to feel sick from those 2, 3, 4 meals you're having from 9 till 7 p.m. You've now got 5 till 7 p.m. instead. It's like an extra 2 hours, 3, 4 hours for some people of getting in more food. For other people that might be cutting, for example, you got more time now to burn more calories, do some extra cardio before you hit the gym, or hit the gym early in the morning. That way you don't have the excuse of I just had a hard day at work and I can't be bothered going. That's just absolute bullshit. If you're waking up at 5 a.m., you have time now to hit the gym, go for a run, go for a swim, jump on a pogo stick for all I care. Whatever you find that is enjoyable, you now have time to do that. Part of this morning routine, I'm gonna weigh in every single day. Don't get me wrong, for some people it's probably not ideal to weigh in every single day because you might see those weight changes and think, shit, I'm losing too much weight or I'm gaining too much weight, this is crap. Every single day, your weight will fluctuate depending on like sodium intake, water intake, stress, sleep, all this different stuff. The main thing from weighing in every day for me personally, you could even just weigh in like 3 times a week, 2 times a week is pretty optimal, honestly, even once a week. But every single day, I basically take that average of every day, divide it by 7, and then I can see like my actual average weight range. And then you can compare that from week to week. That will actually give you a better idea of how the scale is moving. If you're happy with how you look and the scale is like consistently for 2-3 weeks staying the exact same, and you don't really change your diet much, stop tracking everything, just continue living your life happily and don't even look at the scale again. I think if your goal is to lose weight, I think weighing in more often, using that average to actually see that your weight is changing, awesome. If you're bulking and you've been sitting at the same weight for a while, but then you've actually started adding calories on, I'd probably just weigh consistently for the next 2-3 weeks. As the weight starts to go up, you can probably stop weighing yourself for a little bit, and then maybe in 2 or 3 more weeks after that, weigh yourself again and you can see how much weight you've gained. So weighing in every morning, that should be a non-negotiable. That's pretty easy to be honest. I do that every day. Next one in your morning routine is reading for 20 minutes. There are a bunch of studies that show that reading in the morning, you retain a lot more information than what you do at the end of the day. At the end of the day, your brain is fried. Like, I don't care what sort of job you're doing. If you're waking up at 5 a.m. and then you're trying to read at like 8 p.m. at night before bed, your brain's probably full of a bunch of shit that you've just gone through for the whole day. So morning reading, get in like self-development stuff. So reading, if you want to read fiction or non-fiction, it's up to you, whatever, but something to stimulate the brain. Usually I'm reading something that's going to actually help develop a skill, develop my mindset, develop my thinking in the way I think about life and other stuff like that, or I might be reading up on the latest research on muscle building and weight loss and that sort of stuff. That's a real simple one, just getting some sort of reading. Not everyone likes it. If you want to do an audiobook, go for it. I found the best way to actually do this is audiobook plus reading, because you pay less attention to actually having to read, you're sort of just skimming through it while the audiobook's playing, and I found I just retain all the information so much easier. It's great. This next one I don't actually do yet, and I need to do more of it. I know I do, but if we're controlling everything in our life perfectly, this is going to be part of what I would do. It's foam rolling and stretching and mobilization early in the mornings. Get the body moving, get things feeling limber, just moving the body around a bit more, and actually stretching and moving my joints to a full range of motion, getting out any tight spots with some foam rolling. It's really something I need to focus a bit more on, because especially getting deeper in the cut, my body feels like it's aching a lot more. If you're weight training, if you're running, if you're doing heavy physical exertion, your muscles are going to get sore and tight sometimes, and if we can avoid that, we can train harder and just optimize our performance better. And it doesn't take much. It's like 10 minutes of some stretching, foam rolling, and some mobilization, and you're chilling. And a part of that, I'd say, I would almost count that as meditation, where if you can do that in a quiet space, maybe some chilled out music, and just sort of really reflect on your own thoughts. That can also just, you can throw that all together. If you want to do a separate meditation session where you sit there in complete silence and have your legs crossed and your fingers like this in those little circle shapes, go for it. This one is a bit more personal for me, but I need to practice my vacuums a bit more. Vacuum as in like stucking in your stomach and getting that sort of vacuum look. For people that do know about bodybuilding, that's what that is. I'm not going to practice my vacuuming the house. I don't even have a vacuum in this house, so I ain't doing that. And again, if I could optimize everything, I would happily and love to just stand outside on the balcony and watch the sunrise every morning. Like, how sweet would that be? Like, how chill would that be? I'm not going to explain on that one, but that one is, pretty cool. That'd be nice. For me here in the summer, it's not light until, it is light at like 4 a.m. or something. And 4 a.m. is pushing the old schedule. I think 5 a.m. is a good time. So that's morning routine. That's like me optimizing everything there. Let's go to like the nighttime routine, just to stick with this theme that we're going with now, but I would be in bed by 9 because I want to get quality sleep. I want to try and aim for 8 hours of sleep, probably even being in bed by 8:30 so you can wind down and actually chill out for a second. Trying to eat my last meal 2 hours before going to bed. If you're still trying to process and digest a bunch of stuff while you're sleeping, is your body truly using all that food you've eaten for the day to recover the body? Not super crucial. You can still do that if you're someone who struggles to bulk and get a lot of food in. If you're eating right before bed, whatever, that's totally fine. It's not gonna impact you a crazy amount, but I want to try and optimize my sleep. Again, we're controlling everything in our life at this point. We're pretending like we control absolutely everything. I think that's something really simple. So if you're going to bed at 9, your last meal is at like 6:37, which I think that's a pretty good time for dinner. Trying to avoid screen time an hour before bed, even 2 hours before bed is great as well. If you have to be on your phone or on a computer, blue light blocking glasses, I can't speak, is another way just to help reduce the amount of blue light coming in and just prime yourself ready for bed. Completely blacking out your room and sleeping in a room that's, below, off the top of my head I can't remember, there should be a colder room, just to help lower your body temperature. Having a completely black room so there's no distraction, no light coming in through your eyes, is just going to optimize your sleep. Nighttime routine is pretty chill. Now, in terms of physical training and physical activity, again, if we can optimize everything, you're weightlifting 1 to 2 hours, 5 to sometimes even 7 times a week. If your diet and everything is on point and you're recovering really well, you can definitely train that much. Your body will adapt and you will be able to train as much as you want. So 1 to 2 hours of weightlifting, trying to build strong muscles, strong joints, strong everything, trying to look jacked, trying to look absolutely sick on the beach, all that sort of stuff. For me, calisthenics as well, so body weight movements. I think as we get older, that's something that sort of tends to degrade, is like just standing up from a chair or getting up out of your car, or if you fall over and have to push yourself up off the floor, all that sort of stuff. I think calisthenics is a great way to sort of bulletproof your body for when you, one, get older, and also just being able to move your body more athletically. And also, I would love to be able to run like 3, 4, 5 times a week, minimum, like at least. Running more would be great. I think if you've either got to pick one of the two, you either want to weight train 3 to 4 times a week and then run most days, or again, you could probably lift most days and run every few days. Otherwise, if you're going to run and lift every single day, you will probably burn out pretty quick, especially if you're working yourself hard. Physical training, that's pretty much it. Again, we did foam rolling and stuff earlier in the morning, so that's mainly physical training right there. In terms of like food and nutrition, basic, to keep it really simple and not go into too much details, but keeping protein super high, so about 1 gram per pound of body weight. You can even go a bit higher if you want to. You can actually go as low as 0.5 grams. I think 1 gram per pound of body weight is great. 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Eating whole foods, so basically just whole foods, just anything with like a single ingredient, essentially. So like steak, eggs, milk, cheese, all that good sort of stuff, fruit, veggies, all that stuff, trying to avoid processed foods. That's pretty much what I try and live by every single day. Obviously, everything in moderation, every now and then, like sweeteners and stuff, people out there saying that shit's crazy for you. It's not, it's fine. I drink Coke Zero on a cut, like that shit is life-saving. Don't stress too much about that. Everything in moderation, trying to keep that processed stuff as low as possible, and then keeping the whole food as high as possible, basically. In terms of business, I think it's not about earning as much money as possible, because you could have all the money in the world and still be unhappy and feel like shit. But having enough money to have freedom to go on that holiday with your friends or with your partner, or having the freedom to take some time off whenever you feel like you need to, rather than having to ask your boss, can I take 2 days off in the next 4 weeks? It's like, no, you can't. Well, if you're earning enough money, you definitely can. Another big one for me, no, this is not for everyone. Like I said, this is more personal for me, but I think most people should aspire for this, but having enough money to be able to help my parents out when they are older, or when they retire, or helping them retire sooner. That is like a massive one for me. I want to be able to support my family and my loved ones around me with being able to have enough money to be able to support myself and also support them. For me, they're the two things. Like if I can have financial freedom to be able to take a holiday when I want to, I don't mind working big, long days. Like that's great. But if I want to take a 2-week holiday to go to Japan and ski, I'll do it. Not having to like 18 months just so I can go on a 2-week holiday to another state. Like that's just bullshit. And helping out my family when I can. That's it for business. Another little side note here for this one is supplements that I would take. Supplements can be pretty expensive, honestly, and there's a bunch of them that I think are definitely worth taking, but they're not for everyone because they can actually be quite expensive, especially when you're taking them regularly. This is more to prioritize like mental performance, cognitive function, and your physical like recovery and performance. So I'm just gonna list them all off. You can go through and research them if you want to, but bone broth is just one, it's a great substitute for things like chicken broth and things like that. Tastes great as well. Really good for like bone density and soft tissue strength. Ashwagandha, great for cognitive function, recovery, muscular endurance. Fish oils, vitamin C, magnesium. I think it's magnesium. Can't remember what it's called. It's a specific magnesium which is better for you. Vitamin D3, zinc, picolinate. It's like the more specific one. Protein powder is always great. Pre-workout, honestly, if you're working out in the gym and you're not using pre-workout, good on you. But there are plenty of studies showing that I think it's over 250 or 300 milligrams of caffeine, you start to get that physical performance enhancement, which is awesome. Mental performance enhancement from caffeine is from like 50 to 100 milligrams. Some people are different. Everyone's different depending on their tolerance to it and their sensitivity to it. So you don't need to be taking 500 milligrams. That's ridiculous. Essential amino acids, great for like intra-workout, just keep the protein up and also just taste better than just drinking water the entire time. Creatine, glutamines for gut health, and then peptides and stuff are starting to come out and to be becoming quite effective. Wouldn't start taking those just yet, but peptides will probably be a thing in the future that everyone will start taking that isn't going to cause you to die like steroids will. So, but that's it for me. It might sound like that's all pretty simple, but trying to balance all that stuff, like I would actually, okay, before I end this off, another one big thing is going to be relationships. I haven't put this down in my notes actually. So relationships and making sure you maintain healthy relationships with your friends, your family, your partner, all that sort of stuff is going to be super, super important. And I believe this is one of the most important things for living, I wouldn't say a happy life, but a life full of abundance and feeling that you've accomplished something. Being self-aware that if you're working too much and you need to give your partner more attention, or if you haven't called your family in a long time, or you haven't spoken to that, best friend that you haven't spoken to in like 2 months, that sort of stuff is something you should be trying to stay on top of and being aware of that. If these are things you're doing and you're lacking in, I would say I'm going to add journaling into the morning routine. I don't know why that wasn't on there. That was silly of me, but journaling every single morning. Just things like 3 things you should be grateful for. 3 things you need to do that day, like key tasks. Like I need to do this, this, and this. And then there's like maybe 4 or 5 other tasks that you could do, but you don't have to do. And also just remembering that if you surround yourself with people that are like you, like-minded, that care about you and actually want to see you succeed, you should nurture those relationships and not be too caught up in the hustle and grind of it's just me by myself doing all this, because there are people, I can sure there's people out there that do care about you and want you to succeed. So make sure you're not just too self-centered. Take a step back. If you haven't called your mum in a while, give her a call. If you haven't spoken to your friends for a while, give them a call or give them a message and see how they're doing. If you're not giving your partner enough attention, make sure you talk to each other and express how you're feeling and make sure they feel comfortable enough to express how they're feeling to you. So that's relationships, everything around that. So that, like I said, that might sound simple and easy for some people that might be doing all this stuff, but I think doing all the simple stuff well and trying to integrate all of this different stuff into your life is what's the most challenging thing. It's trying to juggle everything all the time, because sometimes your physical fitness might be like super high and you're performing really well, but then because you've been training so much and training so hard, your business is taking a bit of a hit, or your relationships are taking a bit of a hit. So it's usually what happens is, okay, I need to drop my fitness back a little bit so I can make a little bit more money and focus on my business. And it's always like a bit of a give and take in different aspects of your life. So it's just trying to balance all of those and optimize those as much as possible. Again, this was everything you could do if we had full control over our lives. Obviously, we don't always. Life happens, it gets in the way. We have hardships, we have things that happen and pop up, and we can't control some of those. So being really aware that we're just trying to do our best out here, each and every one of us. If you can optimize stuff, awesome. If you make it habits and make it routine, like getting up early, just pick one thing, do it well, do it consistently, pick another thing, and just try and integrate each and every aspect of this into your life. I think you'll be a much happier individual. And that is it for this podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I feel like I just rambled on for quite a while there, but that's something I'm really passionate about, is just trying to become your best self, not just physically, but also in every other aspect of your life. I really appreciate it if you guys could drop a follow, send this around to like 3 friends, just hit the share button, send it to 3 friends, give me a like, share on social media if you're feeling frisky, and I will see you all in the next one.